Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Tea Time with Torloth. Today, I want to get some things off my chest that have been kind of bothering me. And the thing that's been bothering me is console gatekeepers on Twitter, on everything, on all sorts of things. Gaming is kind of an inclusive hobby, and every time someone goes somewhere and every time you look at a tweet from like the official Xbox or something, and someone will go in the comments and be like, PlayStation better, it's like, no, you're just, go away. Like, why do you do this? Like, maybe it's a bot. It's just like, whenever this guy posts a new tweet, make it say PlayStation better. And I'm sure people do that. I really am. I've set up bots or whatever, and there's people who'll be like, the PlayStation's the best place to play, blah, blah, blah. I just start blocking these people. You're gonna come in and you're gonna say something to me like that, I'm just gonna block you on Twitter. Because it's not good. I definitely think that there's this huge disconnect, though, between PlayStation fanatical owners and then just regular PlayStation owners. Now, I don't want to say that people are wrong to say things, like wrong to come to these conclusions, but I definitely think that sometimes people will say things and it's always the same. These guys always have the same arguments when we're like, hey, why isn't there an Xbox version? It's less that we desperately need to have every game on Xbox. It's more that we just like to know. It would be nice that, because whether or not someone actually like reads the comments or whatever, they will look at the keywords that they always see in their tweet. So if you guys say this game should come to Xbox, they're gonna see that people want the game to come to Xbox. They're gonna get a gauge for it. So you need to be vocal on Twitter because there's data that gets aggregated from it. They'll look at a tweet, see what the replies are, see the keywords or whatnot, and see what they can do to aggregate data. So asking for a port is not fruitless. It's really annoying when people seem to act like it's fruitless. It's like they're never going to port it. Should get a PS4 or get a PlayStation 5. One, why should I get a PS5 to play like maybe like 4 games? That's too many. You need to have a certain number of games that I'm interested in playing before I will purchase a console. One really good one can tip the scales, though. I will say that. One really good game, or a game that I just really, really, really want to play, can tip the scales, and I will, and have purchased consoles before to play 1, 2, 4 games. But I always find something else to play, so it's not a big issue. So when people go, oh, games don't sell on Xbox owners don't buy games, they just use Game Pass. If Game Pass subscription numbers were 100% of Xbox owners, then yes, that would be viable data. But unfortunate for your thing that regardless of how many Xboxes are out there and how it did compared to the PlayStation 4, 2016, it is said that 18 to 19 million Xboxes Ones were sold, which was about half of the PlayStation 4. So it's 2 to 1. So that would still say that there's about if the numbers are still correct. And we're still going with the 2-to-1 rule. That it's reached, as of November 2021, it's reached 51 million units. Which, to be honest, if your competitor hadn't done 100 million units, probably is still pretty good. It would have been better if they were right on the heels, but there's not concrete sales data for excuse me, concrete sales data for the Xbox One, but that's fine. But you always see people go, well, the PlayStation 4, these games sell so much better. I have an example here of a game that I don't know if I have full sales data for it. Do I? I cannot find full 100% sales data for this, unfortunately, but I do have the Japanese sales data, including digital. So I'm going to use that. And I'm also going to use how many consoles there are in Japan to show you that these games are niche. And gatekeeping these niche games is really annoying. I know that small publishers and small developers can't always release a game on everything. There's budget things, time constraints. You need to think about what you're gonna do. How are you gonna do it? So let's talk about Sakura Wars. This is a game that came out in 2019, I want to say. 2020, 2019? Yeah, it came out December 12th, 2019 in Japan and Asia, and April 28th, 2020 in worldwide. So I've got sales numbers here for Japan. As of January 2020, so the start of hell as we know it, there was approximately, including digital, 203,003 units sold in Japan. That includes digital. All right. So how many PlayStation 4s are there in Japan? As of this number probably didn't change too much since people were anticipating the PlayStation 5 in 2020. But as of 2019, there's 8.3 million PlayStation 4s in Japan. Just Japan. Well, they were sold in Japan. That doesn't mean they're necessarily stayed there. There's probably a few people who imported some. That happens all the time. But 8.3 million. I need to point out how low that is compared to the install base. That's a very low attach rate. And that's kind of the premise, is if you look at games and games relative, like we have sales data for, I have sales data here for Scarlet Nexus in the first couple weeks in Japan. And between the PS4 and the PS5 version, it sold like 30,000 units. I don't know how it did in the rest of the world, but... And that's also just physical. It's 30,000 units. Now granted, that's still a relatively new game and we don't have as much sales data here because we just have the first weeks. And maybe we'll get updates on it. But that's very low considering that 20,000 units compared to that 8.3 million console user base. Up to 8.3 million. I don't honestly think that these people are bad people. I just think that, like most things in life, these people think that they need to make an enemy with someone so they can be right, so they can be just and pure and fantastic, or feel better about themselves. And I'll be honest, it's infuriating, because to be labeled the villain because you bought a box that has green cases instead of a box that has blue or blue and white cases. You know, it's just silly. Like, I have PS4 games, but oh, I picked the green team. Oh, how could you? I'm not here to tell you that these people have a problem and probably should stay off Twitter and go do something with their day. But I think they like to be in a bandwagon. They like to be in a camp, and they like to have people like their opinions. Or they want to be in the group. They want to be part of the cool kids. Maybe they never were part of the cool kids, and now they're part of the cool people, the popular opinion. You know, I was like that too, and I was young. And then I realized one day that it doesn't matter. The popular people will play the popular games. They'll play their Call of Duties. They'll play their whatever. I was more than happy to sit in my basement and play Resident Evil or whatever. I absolutely just love every minute of playing some of these games. I love it. They're some of my favorites. Like, and whether or not they're niche enough doesn't matter to me. Like, my favorite game of last year, 2021, was Descent Request 2, which is a niche RPG, which probably sold less than 1 million units worldwide. And it just got a Switch port, so maybe it'll get to 1 million. But you have to understand that it doesn't matter how many sell on a console. Because I don't think it's a bold prediction, I just think it's a prediction, that the Xbox Series consoles will not overtake, but close the gap significantly with the PlayStation 5, to the point where we're back in a generation like the Xbox 360 and the PS3. Because for competition's sake, that was a great generation, and there was a lot of things that led to a fantastic PlayStation 4 that happened because of how competitive the two were during that generation. Now, this chip shortage and all that isn't helping with the supply issue. Also, Xbox setting up the cloud servers and whatnot, but that's all done. And now we're seeing that there's all these Series S's out there. I honestly think that we're going to see a huge, if Microsoft can pull it, that when Starfield comes out, there's going to be a huge surge of console sales for the Xbox. That's the way it usually works. It's like a big game, make a big splash, and people will have to buy the game. They'll want to buy the game and get the new console. And I'm not sure how many games PlayStation 4 has to do that. I'm not saying that PlayStation 5. I'm not sure how many PlayStation 5 games have come out so far that people have been like, oh, I've got to play that. Because for me, there hasn't been anything yet that's like absolutely compelling. Whereas the Series X, well, yes, I didn't get a bunch of new fancy and I have to play these games. It plays all the last gen games better than before, and there's all these updates to older games that I either never got to play or have kind of wanted to play, didn't get to it. Unfortunately, the backwards compatibility ended on the Xbox side rather quickly. I wonder if they ran into issues with licenses, and there's a bunch of games they wanted to do, but spent the time, got them running a bit, and then reached out. And a lot of people said no, because companies will want to port games, because porting games will make them more money. But it's also nice to see legacy titles supported. Ugh. Do I think that all this hate for Xbox is still warranted? No. I think there are things that can still improve upon. But for the most part, I think the Xbox brand has patched up a lot of the ill will with players. And despite the terrible start to the Xbox One generation, I think the team really did turn it around. And I feel like we're always better with competition. So the next time someone says something stupid on Twitter, these guys want the attention, they want the fight, they want that sort of negative, they want to stir negative emotions out of you. And typing at them and talking to them is what they want. They want to get in your head, and they want to live in your head rent-free. Whether they're trolling or not, it doesn't matter. These guys will come in and say stuff. When, you and your friends go somewhere, or you see a tweet that's like, hey, could you bring this game to Xbox? Whether or not you agree with the game being ported to the platform or not, you don't have to feel the need to comment on it. You can just heart the tweet, like the tweet, and go on with your day. I tend to do that. I'll see a thing and someone will be like, I'd like to bring a game to Xbox. I'll like the tweet and move on with my day. Or maybe I'll say, if I'm really interested, like, yeah, that'd be awesome. And I understand that there's going to be people who prefer the PlayStation. And I'm not saying that that's not all right. Because it's totally fine. You're allowed to have your preferences. For people, you have to make a purchasing decision based upon what's best for you. But all the Xbox people are saying is these are third-party games that aren't that are considered niche, right? They're not mainstream games. They're not Spider-Man. They're not, like Marvel's Avengers. They're not Call of Duty. They're not Grand Theft Auto. We can get all these popular games, but we can't get the niche ones because for some reason people think they don't sell well. How many millions of people are going to buy these games? How many millions of these users are going to overlook them and be like, no, I don't want to play this? I'm not saying that you can't say, oh, well, because you can say whatever you want on Twitter, and there's really not much in the way of recourse besides getting blocked by someone who doesn't like that you barged in their opinion. But when you say stuff like, well, Xbox owners don't buy games, or Xbox owners don't support devs, which really was annoying. I thought it was just really, it's just ignorant. It's very ignorant. But these people will come in and they'll say whatever they want. And they're gonna be rude, they're gonna be awful. And all we can do as Xbox gamers, or gamers in general, whether or not you play on PlayStation, you play on Nintendo Switch, play on Xbox, or even PC, the way these people act is not good. It should not, that behavior should not be rewarded. I even see people that will come in and say stuff on things and they'll be like, oh, it's ratio, this. And I'm like, I get it. I really do. But I just kind of get in this space where I find people to be just antagonistic for the sake of being antagonistic. Do they think I'm, trying to be rude when I say something? When I write something on Twitter? I don't know. But when a bunch of people will say something like, when someone will say something and I like to try and dispel things when I can. Oh, show me persons that play games. That's the thing, like, if you want to play Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, I definitely think you should. I wish you the best. Like, honestly, the game looked pretty cool. I wish for less fighting on these platforms and less pushback. And I think as the user bases level out and games are more accepted to be available on either side, it's one of those things that I can't. I don't like. I don't like when either side does it. I don't like when Xbox fanboys come in and go, "You're not a real Xbox fanboy, you just want," or "We don't need it because we've got Western RPGs, we have this," and it's just, I'm gonna take off my glasses, I go rub my face and go, but why? Why can't we have it both ways? I'm gonna pick up that weird golf RPG game. I picked up Ender Lilies. Like, I absolutely love playing games. It's like my favorite pastime. It's my favorite hobby. There'll be days when I sit down in this chair, I put my pillow on my lap, and I could play the whole day, and I mean the whole day, games if I get the chance. And I don't have to go anywhere, don't have to do anything. Eat snacks, the whole deal. I will play whatever. And I know there's a lot of people out there like me who just love games, and they love playing them, and they don't care what box it's on. And those people are the best. They really are. I feel sorry for some people who feel like they have to go with the flow. You don't have to. You can play whatever. You don't have to say you like something. And the thing is that people are gonna say whatever they're gonna say, and it's okay. I love Nintendo properties as much as the next person, but I don't feel like I'm missing out on too much by going to Xbox. There's maybe a handful of games that I would have really liked to play, like Sakura Wars is one, and it sold relatively poorly. Well, if we're going by sales metrics, but maybe it sold enough for them to be happy with the sales. But I feel like it's one of those things, like, I would love to play that game on Xbox. A Switch if I have to in a pinch, but it's what it is. I think I've gone on long enough with this sort of topic, talking about Twitter trolls and weirdos, and I would just ask for anyone who makes it to this far thing, just be nicer to people when you see posts like that. Because it's the god honest truth, even though I'm not very religious, that being nice does get you places and will earn you a little respect with people. They like being treated like human beings. Thank you all so much for watching, and hopefully I'll be back soon with co-hosts of some description, maybe, or some sort of segmented show. But until next time, bye.